Good evening, Love Bay family, and welcome to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. I'm your host, Felicia Fishoff, registered psychotherapist and founder of Rooted in Resilience Psychotherapy and Wellness. Tonight, we're entering a very intentional space together. This episode is titled Diaspora Check In: The Mental Health Cost of Global Crisis. And tonight is not about headlines, breaking news, or political commentary. This is about us. It's about the grief, the hypervigilance, the emotional weight, the survivor's guilt, and the quiet exhaustion that so many people across the diaspora are carrying while watching our communities, families, and homelands endure ongoing crisis from near and from afar. Tonight's Real Talk Roundtable is a town hall, a space to name what often goes unspoken, a space to stay grounded, connected, and human, where the world feels like it's unraveling. I'm joined tonight by an incredibly grounded and thoughtful panel. First, Charlene Lex, a registered psychotherapist, EMDR certified clinician, and the founder of Oaken Stream Therapy. Charlene is also a faith integrated mental health practitioner and transformation consultant whose work centers trauma recovery, attachment healing, and relational repair. She is known for creating spaces that honor both psychological care and spiritual grounding, particularly where faith, identity, and mental health intersect. Also joining us is Shanique Edwards, a registered psychotherapist, mental health consultant, and equity speaker, and the founder of Shanique Victoria Psychotherapy and Wellness. Shanique currently serves in leadership and consulting roles with organizations such as the Newmarket African Caribbean Canadian Association, the Canadian Black Nurses Alliance, and Black Mental Health Canada. Her work bridges neuroscience, Afrocentric frameworks, and cultural spiritual wisdom to support healing, psychological safety, and collective liberation within Black and racialized communities. Now, we are also honored to welcome two additional powerful voices joining us officially on the Real Talk Roundtable. Like, come on, I'm so excited. Roxanne Francis is an award winning psychotherapist, registered social worker, leadership coach, and international speaker. She is the founder and CEO of Francis Psychotherapy and Consulting Services and the creator of the Therapist Lounge. Roxanne is widely respected for her work on racial trauma, burnout, women's mental health, and leadership, bringing both clinical depth and real world insight to conversations about wellness in demanding environments. And last but certainly not least, tonight we're joined by Natasha Pennycook, a registered psychotherapist, trauma competent leadership strategist, and international Natasha Penny and consulting services, and is known for her calm, grounded presence and culturally responsive approach to healing, leadership, and sustainable success under pressure. Together, we'll explore how global crises impacts the mental health of diasporic communities and what it means to remain connected to ourselves, our values, and each other when the weight feels heavy. But before we continue, a gentle reminder: this show is for education, reflection, and community conversation. It is not therapy, and it does not replace professional mental health support. So please take care of yourself as you listen tonight and step away if you need to. And to our listeners, come on, this space is for you. We value your voice. So join the chat. The chat is open. Share your reflections and be part of the conversation. This is a town hall for us. So let's begin. Ladies, I am so excited to be here with you guys tonight.
We're excited to be here too. Thank you for having us.
Of course, Chad. Of course. Like, honestly, I am so excited for this year and for our real talk conversations. I just know that we're going to have a blast. And I mean, come on, we started off the year with a bang, right? Diaspora check in, the mental health cost of global crisis. I mean, when we were brainstorming topics, and Shar, I know that you're like, guys, let's just talk about the global crisis. I was like, "Ooh, child. Okay, let's do it. Let's do." But it has to be done. We have to talk about this because this is so
Yeah.
relevant to the time we're living in. So, I love to ask the question: why does the Love Bay family need to be talking about this topic tonight?
I can begin, right? As a clinician, I know that I'm not exempt from the rest of the world and what's going on around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even as I have my clients coming in and I'm holding space for their experiences with this topic, I'm also aware of the fact that I'm holding space when I get home for then my experiences and my family's experiences with it too. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, why not just actually like have a conversation about this? How are we healing from this? How are we holding it in our bodies, in our nervous systems?
Mm-hmm.
How are we managing in these times? And I think that that's why it's important because people are experiencing this right now. And it's important to name it and to say that we're not exempt from it either.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll jump in as well. And
Yeah.
well said, right? Because
Yeah.
yes, we are clinicians. We hold space. We're used to holding space. That's part and parcel of our role. While at the same time, we're dealing with everything at the same time as everyone else. And we're holding other people's stuff. And we're helping them to navigate while then we're navigating our stuff as well. So it's so important that we put this out there to normalize that we're not exempt from it, that we're in it with everyone else, right? Like we're seeing constantly on the news, there's new things every day of what's going on. It's not just here in Canada or North America, it's right across the world. And, for those of us who have family and friends that live in different parts of the diaspora and other places, we're constantly impacted. We're concerned, we're worried, we're scared, we're sad, and we're going through this. Everyone else will still showing up for our clients. So we need to be talking about this. I love this topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nothing else to add here. I totally agree. I think that we just it's important to recognize our humanness as we do this work. We might have some tools and we might be aware of grounding techniques and so on, but we're listening to the news, same news that everybody else is listening to, and it's
100%.
impacting us. So we definitely need to have
Yeah.
this conversation.
Absolutely. You know, thank you, ladies, for sharing that because I'm also seeing it in the therapy space, right? What have you guys actually been noticing with your clients that have been holding this global crisis and they're coming, they're sitting in our chairs? What have you guys been seeing?
It's definitely like increased levels of anxiety. People are
Mm-hmm.
coming in and they're worried about family members like overseas, right? They're worried about what's the impact going to be here because we're so close to, other more powerful places, right? Like, um, it's just that people are getting bombarded again with the news. So it's like even in the morning, the news will be one thing, and by the
Yeah.
afternoon, it could be something else, right? Like once upon a time, people were able to tune out things that were halfway around the world, and now they can't because it's like whether it's CP24 on a loop in places like
Mm-hmm.
I just put it like out there, the nail shop where you're supposed to be feeling like really like relaxed, but no, that's what's actually like running and you're like sitting there like feeling nervous, right? When you should
Absolutely.
just be like getting into a space of just I can take care of me right now, right? To the
Mm,
fact that it's all over social media. So it's like it's hard to shut it off. And so
yeah,
yeah, people are definitely coming in with increased feelings of anxiety.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's hard to shut it off because it's right there. It's
Mm-hmm.
accessible. It's in our faces. It's in our hands. It's in our pockets, right? At the nail salon, on the bus. It's right there. So I think this really
Yeah.
shows that whatever is happening in the world, we are seeing it almost in real time, right? And that's what makes it so different, where it's not like, you know, my grandmother will sit waiting to 6 o'clock to watch the news to figure out what is going on just down the street. Now we don't do
Yes.
that. We're just waiting 2 seconds and it's right there in our face. So we have to understand that continuously viewing all these images, it's so hard for us to process. And our nervous system, really,
Yeah.
frankly, our nervous systems are a wreck right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
100%.
I'm seeing in my practice, specifically a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but a number of young women questioning whether or not they should even start a family, right? This
Mm-hmm.
sense of the world is on fire. Do I want to bring children into this? Right. And these are people who, in previous years, were thinking, eventually I want to do this. And now they're just like, I don't know if I want to bring people into this. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's conversations that we're having to navigate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this hopeless?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What does this mean for the future, for me, for any
Yes.
potential offspring, for generations to come? The world just seems to be getting worse, and this sense of despondency.
Yes. Absolutely. I think in addition to that, I am also just seeing this a general sense of exhaustion because even though, clients are seeing this on a day to day, or even for myself, I'm seeing this on a day to day, right? It's just physically and mentally draining. It's just so exhausting, and then you feel all of this nervousness and anxiety, and then obviously, there's also the inflation of things that are happening too, so it's impacting people's livelihoods, and they're having to work harder on top of that when they were already working hard before. It's not that they weren't working, but like people have two, three, sometimes even four jobs just to make ends meet, and in addition to everything. So I just see a high level of exhaustion in the therapy room where people are like, sister, I am just I'm tired, you know?
Yeah. I think people are struggling with navigating all of the big feelings that are coming in. This is what I've been seeing and what our
Mm-hmm.
clinicians have been sharing with one another, that all of these big feelings, these big emotions, they're not, quote unquote, some of the regular things that we've been used to seeing. They're
Mm-hmm.
on an intensity level that is just so different. And, I know COVID was 6 years ago, but we're still dealing with the aftermath, the emotional aftermaths of COVID. And
100%.
there's like no time to actually be in it and deal with it because we're dealing with what's happening in the now. It's like we're on this constant survival mode. That's what I'm hearing from clients, this constant survival mode, having to deal with what is coming up and not being able to have those moments of pause to reflect and to go a little bit deeper in and with themselves because they're wondering all of these things that my colleagues just shared, whether having a family, whether
Yeah.
it is like family members who are in different parts of the world. These are real issues that we're seeing our clients struggling to navigate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we all know the impact of when we go through, so much like stress for prolonged periods of time, right? I'm glad that you talked about survival mode, right? Because this is all like our nervous systems are just shot. Let's put it that way. I don't want to mince my words, right? Our nervous systems are shot, right? So, we're there walking around in either, hyper arousal or hyper arousal. So, up here in the anxiety, the fight, the freeze, right, the fawn, and people don't really necessarily have the language to explain exactly what is happening. So maybe we could even talk a little bit about that tonight. Like, what does it mean to be in survival mode when it seems like the world is just catching on fire?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like it's like Survivor Earth Edition, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right? And it's hard, right? Like even up here, we had the polar vortex, and so things were shut down.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
for me, there's a little bit of like came to mind around this idea of hold on, when's the last that time that everything was shut down like this? I'm looking out at the street, there's hardly anybody on the roads, right? You're in the house with your families, and I'm wondering how many people are even triggered by things like that, right? It's just the weather,
Hmm.
and yet it's a reminder of a time when the lockdowns were happening. So it's we're not actually like healing. This is supposed to be our healing time, but even like natural disasters are triggers now, right? And so how do we handle things like that? It's it's complicated, it's complex, it's nuanced, but I think a huge part of it is to name it, to tame it, right?
Yeah.
Having people in your life that you can just be real about with all of these different like situations when they come up, because we can't anticipate any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So how can we name it without adding to the stress? Because you don't know. We could start the conversations, but then it can just end up real, real sticky, and real heavy, real fast.
I think it's that piece around, the name it, tame it, claim it kind of thing, where still being able to claim that emotion as your own, and just being able to, even in those moments, take back that control, that this is
Mm,
my emotion that I am feeling with everything that I'm navigating in this external world right now. Like, even if I don't have control over what I'm hearing in the news, what's happening with this person and that person and so on, I have control over this emotion that is causing me some stress and anxiety and nervousness and sadness. I have control over that. That is my emotion. And I
mhm,
don't have to sit here and allow that emotion to, run off with me. I can claim it as my own emotion so I can get back that sense of control to be able to then tame it. Right. And I think that's one of the
yeah.
pieces where, because we're in a world so much that, and we're all in the mental health space, we know that there's still so much stigma around mental health, right? Even though we're here, we're talking about it, we're navigating it. It's that piece that allowing people to have that sense of control over that emotion that you cannot see, you can't touch, it's not tangible, but it's felt. It's so deeply felt, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the tools that is really important as we're trying to navigate this all these spaces.
Mhm, mhm.
I think that as we acknowledge what we're feeling, it gives us space to understand how it's impacting behavior, right? When we feel flooded, when we're in this state of hyperarousal, it
Yeah.
can result in irritability. It can result in
Mhm,
a lack of patience. It can result
mhm,
in, you know, heated arguments. And
mhm.
I think when we, even the hypo
Yeah.
it can, um, we can have this feeling of despondency and, feeling really down and wanting to sleep all the time and wanting to sort of not go anywhere. And when we recognize what is actually fueling that, then um, we can take away that kind of self judgment,
Mhm,
because when our behaviors are out of pocket and our loved ones, or even less than loved ones, might even say, "What's going on with you? Why are you doing that? What's wrong with you?"
mhm,
Um, we can even turn the mirror on ourselves and say, "I don't know what's wrong with me. Why am I like this?" And we lack a sense of grace and compassion. But when we realize what is actually at play here, what is causing these feelings, and these feelings are fueling the behavior, then we can look at ourselves with compassion and grace and say, well, no wonder I am feeling this way. Look at what's happening around me. I was recently talking to a group of women, and we were talking about anxiety and depression. And we were saying that, you
mhm.
know, oftentimes we look at those things as personal failures. But if we look at community, if we look at context, if we look at the 24/7 news cycle, if we look at the cost of eggs. If we look at the fact that people are trying to
Yeah.
decide between, I don't know, food and putting gas in their car, right? Or food and the rent. No wonder people are feeling so anxious when you think about, the fact that um, racialized bodies are not seen as valuable, when they're seen as disposable. No wonder people feel the way that they feel. And so it's really important to acknowledge, not just acknowledge what's going on and what you're feeling, but acknowledging what might be fueling that feeling in the wider context. Sometimes we have to look at not just what's going on in your immediate family, but sometimes we have to look at wider systems, right? And how those systems are being impacted by
Mm-hmm.
government and some of these legislations,
Mm-hmm.
and how that has a trickle down effect, and how that eventually impacts how you feel and how you behave.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Before we continue, I want to take a brief moment to remind you that you're listening to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. If this conversation is resonating, we invite you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can also download the Love Bay app from the Apple App Store or Google Play so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us keep creating spaces like this for our community. To donate or learn more, visit lovebay-afrobeatmusicradio.com. And if you want to reach out, you can call 437-778-3299. We're here with you and we're honored to serve you 24/7. With that said, I'm so glad that you brought that up, Roxanne, because, one of the things that I have my clients do is externalize, what they're
Hmm.
experiencing. And I did this with a client this week, right? Who was feeling bad about even feeling the emotions that they were feeling. And I said, okay, so I want you to externalize this. I want you to pretend that we're going to the movies, we're getting our popcorn, or in their case, they love nachos and cheese, right? We're going to get our nachos and cheese and our big drink. And I want you to imagine that we're there and the previews are playing and then everything quiets down and then you are the main character of your life or your story, right? And I want you to imagine that you see your whole life playing out and all the circumstances that are happening. What would you think of the main character if they felt nothing? And the immediate response is like, I would be like, is something wrong with them? Like, what? How could you not feel anything? Why aren't you doing anything? I'm like, then why do we expect ourselves to not feel anything in the midst of a dumpster fire? If there's fire, it's okay to be like fire, or it's okay to run. It's okay to respond. But I feel like we're afraid to make space for our emotions and our feelings because we've been conditioned that we shouldn't feel. We've been
Hmm.
dehumanized for centuries, right? Where we shouldn't feel, we shouldn't be human. So we internalize that and we treat ourselves like that. Well, you shouldn't be feeling anything. We're done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a conditioning,
It
right? It's a
is.
conditioning. Don't rock the boat. Don't upset anybody else. Don't get your sad on other people, right?
Yes.
And it takes away this sense of our humanness. And
100.
so we judge ourselves for having these feelings when they're actually quite normal given the circumstances that we're in.
Absolutely. We're actually quite calm considering the circumstances. So, if one of us decide to run down the street and be like, fire, I still would be like, yo, I should have done that yesterday. It's very fitting, right? It's okay to feel scared for our children right now. I know locally right now there's been a lot of missing young Black boys. It's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to be like, I want to hold my kids closer. It's okay
Mhm.
to, see the news and be like, what the heck? I'm going to keep it PG. Don't worry. But right, it's okay. It's all okay, you know?
And I think part of being from communities that are a little bit more collectivists,
Yeah.
it's like when you're seeing things in other
Mm-hmm.
parts of the world that is affecting Black people, no matter where they are, you still have that feeling of, oh, like that's one of us, right? I
Yeah.
think that it's harder to navigate. It's harder to navigate this because we have that kind of like internal like feelings, the dialogue around it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
history behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think if you were more from an individualistic culture, maybe
Yeah.
that it wouldn't have been so hard. But
Mhm.
we have to also name our hard that we're also affected not just with people who look like us on this part of the world, it's people who look like us in other parts of the world too. And so the systems that we're talking about, it's not just the system that we're living in, it's also the systems that they're living in and the impact upon them wherever they are. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
this then kind of like accelerates that feeling of fear. And when you're living in that place of tension over and over and over time, my goodness, that does something to our bodies. There's adrenal
100.
fatigue that's coming out of us that we're then going through like molasses. So when we're feeling anxious, when we're
Molasses, yum. All
right,
right, keep going. Yeah.
when we're feeling like in hyperarousal or hypoarousal, when we're feeling
Yes.
anxious or angry or irritable, or we're feeling depressed, it makes sense. And I think that's what I want to just normalize for people. It doesn't matter how you're feeling, your feelings are actually not good or bad. It's information, so listen to what it's saying.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
I am so glad you named that the fact that we are collectivist cultures, right? Because, you know, even personally being married to someone who doesn't come from a collectivist culture, when they're going through something and I feel it more than them, they're like, I'm the one feeling this. I'm like, but you're my family. So I feel it as if they've done it to me themselves and I'm ready to fight anyone, right? But it's we care so deeply, and so sometimes you do hear that, oh well, it's not in where we live, it's in another part of the globe. It's like, it don't matter, that's my brother,
Mhm.
that is my sister, that is my auntie, it's my
Hmm.
uncle.
Hmm.
So what happens to
Yeah,
them happens to me.
exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. That's the piece of the representation, right? I mean, we talk about
Yeah.
representation in terms of like that positive. I want to see other Black women, Black men doing well and rising to echelons in corporate spaces. But then,
Absolutely.
whenever we see someone who looks like us, who has skin like us, in
Mm.
different parts of the world going through something really hard or challenging, or being accused systemically, we feel it because they are still our representation. We still
Yeah.
have a connection, an energy connection where I see myself in
Hmm.
that person, and myself is not being treated well, even though we are miles and miles away, and I
Hmm.
still feel it, and it hurts and it's hard. And it brings a lot of fear that comes up, right? All of that
Hmm.
fear that will this happen to me, even if I'm not physically in that space or in that country. I'm here going through some of the very much the same things. Will that happen to
Mm.
me? So we have to understand as we're, having this conversation and we're navigating and unpacking, there is a connection. And that's why, it is the African diaspora, because we are connected by our
Yes.
roots. And we
Hmm.
can't forget that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. One love, one heart.
Mhm.
Let's get together and feel all right.
I'll break out in song now.
Oh my goodness. You guys know I love to laugh too much. Oh boy.
And even as you talk about that, I think we have to pay attention to the things that bring us joy.
Yes.
We have to pay attention to gathering if we can, because we get strength from each other, right?
Mhm.
How many times have you been in a dire situation and someone cracks a joke and suddenly you're holding your belly and tears streaming down your face from laughter, right?
Yes.
And it's exactly, Natasha, it
That brings
brings,
us
right?
down,
It
right?
helps that nervous system to
Yes.
come down,
Yes.
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
It creates a
Yeah.
release, right? So many times we think that we have to feel completely one thing or completely another,
Mm,
right? But we are complex people with complex
yeah.
emotions, and we're not we're very multifaceted,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's okay to be in distress, but hear something funny and find laughter and find joy, because that's actually quite helpful,
Mm,
right? So how are we um minding that we're able to take care of ourselves in different ways, right? For some people it might look one way, for some people it might look like laughter, for other people it might look like dance,
yes.
for different people it might look like baking,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know for me on Sunday, Charlene, you mentioned the polar vortex. On Sunday, here where we live, there was so much snow that everything ground to a halt, and all of us were in the home. And, any screen that you were on was broadcasting all of the craziness
Mm-hmm.
that was going on in the world. And earlier in the day, I took out some spotted bananas and I made a banana bread thinking, the baking is gonna, and it didn't give what it was supposed to give. And even though my kids loved it,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time the evening was winding down, I was still, my shoulders were still up here, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I looked around, I was like, what can I do? And I saw a couple of tiny plants in these jars of water that I needed to put in a pot. And so I just, I took out all the things and I got the pots and I got the things, and
Yeah.
it was just me in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I put something down on the counter, and just having my hands in the dirt and having that
Mm-hmm.
slowness and just focus on something related to nature, it really just helped my system just soothe. And
Mm,
by the time I was finished and I cleaned up and I got ready for bed, I was feeling so much better, right? So we
yes.
really have to pay attention to the things that help us to reset.
Yes.
For some people, it can look like a friend of mine, um, she was feeling quite similar the next day, and she bundled herself up and she went for a long walk in like the minus 20 whatever weather. Could not be me, but
Wow.
it
Well
helps her
done.
feel so much better, right? And
Yeah.
so you have to find what works for you, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can help take care of yourself in these seasons that we're in.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I think that's amazing that you're talking about the things that feel good, because making the banana bread, okay, but it's potting the plants that actually work that day. And I think that what I would even like encourage listeners to recognize is
Mm,
try to do the different things, right? Go through the cycle of the different things, because what helped before might not help today. And it's
Right.
okay,
yes.
right? So cycle through
Mm-hmm.
and find what works for you. Interestingly enough, like on Monday, because the kids were home, I ended up making banana bread too.
Hey, and none of
Hey.
you invited a sister?
You know what?
Okay.
Just come
Um,
over and have some.
Felicia, we'll
wait,
make it. Look, we have
but
to get together and make some banana bread then.
yeah, nobody sent a text or no. Oh,
I'm telling you,
ooh.
you should just know that signal and just come over.
Okay, I'll bring the bananas and you guys bring the bread.
And so it was interesting because it's like we did
Yeah.
that, and we also made like brown butter chocolate chip cookies. We
Love
made
it.
peanut butter cookies and also oatmeal
Mm,
raisin. And by
Hey.
the end of the day, I was
mhm.
like, my kitchen smelled amazing, right?
I
Yes.
am so
And,
Nice.
sure of it.
right? And yeah, right. I actually was feeling exhausted
Mm.
because I just directed three other people in the kitchen for hours.
Mm.
While like when we do it for Christmas, because we didn't do a Christmas baking this year, while doing it for Christmas, it's kind of like festive, and you put on like the old timey Christmas music or
Mhm.
Motown or reggae music for Christmas and stuff like that,
Yes.
right? Soca, you feel good. But this
Mm-hmm.
time around it didn't work, and so
Mm.
I had to then look and see, what do I need right now, and really check in with my body. And so
Mm,
even just asking people to like even putting their hands on their heart,
Yes.
right? Just to slow down enough to say, what does
What
my
do I
body
need?
actually need, right?
yes.
And after then figuring out what you need, Like literally, that's when I was like, okay, you know what? I actually didn't need to be doing today. I needed to
Mhm.
just be resting. That's what
Mm.
I
Yes.
needed, right?
Yeah.
So I had to like tap out, right, to my family. I'm like, okay, peace out, guys, right? I'm gonna take a little bit of a rest, right? And
Yeah.
I'm willing to come back and maybe we can watch a movie as a family later on. But I just need at least like an hour to
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And it's okay to be able to ask for what you
Yeah.
need.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know there's so many moms with smaller kids who can't just tap out. I get that, right? But figure out what else you can actually do to fill that cup for yourself, right? It's okay if you try one thing and it doesn't work, and you try something else and it doesn't work. Keep going through all of the different like techniques around self-care and techniques about around self-regulation to find what works in that moment.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's so important that we're talking about this, right? Because when we talk about we're checking in, it's that piece around, yeah, we're checking in, look at all the hurt and the pain, but it's so important, especially as
Mhm.
members of the African diaspora, that we make the time for the joy pieces because joy is not given to us. We have to be intentional about taking it. So whether
Yeah.
you're baking or you're potting plants or you're just taking that time, we have to be intentional about taking
Mhm.
it. Yesterday, I was working with a community center and the staff. And, in our meeting, I'm like, okay, let's just take a moment. Let's just take 10 minutes out of this meeting. And I led them through a deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation. So, for those
Yes,
of you
Chad.
listening, right? Yes. For those of you listening who don't know, it's this process where you're
Yeah.
contracting your muscles from your feet
Mhm.
all the way up to the top of your head, the different muscle groups in your body while breathing through it. And
Yes.
so many people afterwards, right, when I was like, how is this for you and everything? So many people were like, I so forget to breathe when I'm holding.
Mm.
I'm holding everything and I
Mhm.
don't breathe. And I was so intentional as I was leading through them through this practice, holding that muscle and breathing. Continue to breathe through it. We don't. We're so used to holding everything, right? Like tense and tight that we don't
Mhm.
realize that we do. Roxanne, you mentioned this, like put the shoulders down and breathe through it. It's so, so very hard.
Yeah.
And while at the same time leading them through that, what I recognize is because I was leading it, I didn't have a chance to do it for myself,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the piece. And that's the piece around we're holding so
Mhm.
much for other people. And
Yeah.
what I recognized by the end of yesterday, I was so dysregulated. So, so, so
Mhm.
dysregulated. My son was like, Mama, are you okay? You're not okay. And I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So what I was intentional to do this morning, I'm like, I needed to leave the
Mhm.
space. I needed to leave. So I got in the car, bundled up, went to the gym, and I was just running on the treadmill. And of course, they played the best soca set. And I was
Yeah.
like in my element. So anyone knows me knows I'm a huge soca head. And I was just like, this is what I needed. I just needed to run. I just needed to lift
Yeah.
weights.
Yes.
I just needed to like be in this moment for myself where I wasn't taking care of anyone. And I think
Yeah.
that's the piece, right? Because historically, especially as Black women, we're taking care of everybody. In our profession, that's literally what we do. We take care of
Yes.
people, right? And then
Yes.
we have our little ones at home and our spouses at home and friends and family. So we have to
Yes.
be intentional about going out literally
Mhm.
grabbing our joy. We have
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
right? We have to do that.
Yes. Absolutely. You're tuned in to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio, a space created for us by us. If this conversation speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can also download the Love Bay app on the Apple App Store or Google Play to stay connected. If you're able, consider supporting the station so we can continue holding space for conversations like this. You can visit lovebay-afrobeatmusicradio.com to donate. And remember, we want to hear from you. So call 437-778-3299 anytime. This is community care in real time. I am so glad that you brought your little one up, because I remember one day I was doing a puzzle with my little one, and all of a sudden he's like this, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Mommy, sometimes you just gotta breathe."
All right.
And I'm like, "Look at you, little therapist." Okay, I was like, "All right." Anyway, I'm like, "Where you learned that from school?"
All right. All right.
I said, "Okay, right." And I'm glad that even like our next generation is learning to do exactly what we're trying to encourage the Love Bay listeners to do, and that is to listen, to pause and just listen to ourselves, listen to our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, because it's so easy to get caught up in the everyday busyness and the day to
Mm-hmm.
day and what's to do next. And especially, I don't know, on this side of the globe, I don't know about the other side of the globe, but this side of the globe, it's always go, 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 go. I remember years ago, I took a trip to Barbados, and I was with some brothers from Jamaica, and there was a bus, right? And I'm there running for this bus, and they're like, "What are
You
you
know,
doing, Felicia?" And I'm like, "The bus, we're gonna miss it." They're like, "No, Felicia, what are you doing?" And they just hail this bus, and the bus stop, and they're there taking their seat. They're looking in the grass, and they're talking, they're laughing, and I was like, "What is happening?" And we got the bus. We were able to take a seat before they drove off. I was like, "Whoa, we would have been left 10 times if it was TTC. TTC would have been like, 'Let's go, gotta go.' You're
Mm-hmm.
not, they see you running sometimes, and they're like, 'Yeah, right, you should have been here 30 seconds ago.'" And they're gone, right? And I feel like the way that, our society is built is just to go, 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 and
Yeah.
never to actually slow down and pause to listen, because we're talking about our nervous system, but our nervous system doesn't speak with words. It speaks with, feeling. And what we're mentioning is that we have to tune into that so that we can actually move our bodies, which our nervous system responds to, or, connect with nature, putting our hands in the dirt, which our nervous system responds to, or dance into some soca on a treadmill. Or I was like, "Whoa, good for you." I can't even run. I can't even jog on a treadmill, much less what I could imagine with the. Hey. But our nervous system, like, it responds to that,
Yes.
right? It thrives on that, and that's what helps us to break that stress cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love it. I love it. I love it.
oh my gosh, Felicia, you're bringing me back to my grad school days in Barbados. And it's so funny, right? Because you're right. You don't have to run for the bus if it's seeing you. But I think more importantly, and this goes to
Yeah.
the community aspect. I remember
Yes.
being on the bus with my school bag and it being full and standing up. And so many people are like, "Give me your bag. Let me
Mm.
hold the weight for you." And I think that really speaks to that community
Wait,
aspect.
what?
Yes.
Yes,
In the Caribbean,
girl.
when you're on a
In the
packed bus, they
yes,
will they will hold your stuff for you
they'll
if you're
start.
standing.
Yes, if you're standing,
I'm
they will
upset with my
hold
mama
the
right now.
weights.
My
They'll
mama
hold
should
the
have
weight.
just stayed so I could have someone hold my bag for me. Oh, Lord. Sorry,
But
sorry. Keep going. Keep
no,
going. I'm
no,
listening. All
but
right.
that's exactly it,
Wow.
right? Where you don't have to carry it on your own. Where
Mm-hmm.
there are
Yay. Good
people
evening,
who
Miss
will hold
J.
it. And I love this.
Yes.
It's so
Oh, my
you
goodness.
need to stop. I love it. I love
I
it.
can't get over this one. You mean, oh,
Yes.
who's Miss J is saying, "Yes, ma'am, I'm about the dancing on the tread." If I didn't have bad knees, I would join you guys. Honestly. What? Okay, so this is a thing. Dance. Okay, Love Bay family. If you have good knees, please try it. Run on a treadmill. Just don't blame me if anything happens, but run on a
Don't
treadmill
fall, though.
and get your rag. We all have a good color rag, right? Or a do rag, whatever you have, and just wave
Just
it.
wave it.
Okay? Okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah. I'm focused, guys. Let's go. But I love what you're saying. Like, the fact that someone will see that you're carrying a load and offer to take it from you because the bus is packed.
Mhm.
But what do we do in our society though? Like, right? In particularly in North America, when someone
Yeah,
says, "Let me carry the load for you," what do you say? "No, I'm good.
I'm okay.
I got
I
it.
got
I'm
it.
okay."
true. It's
Meanwhile, your
true.
back is breaking under the weight,
Mhm.
Guilty as charged. It's true. I
right?
could I could hold it.
Yeah, we have to stop that. We have
Mhm.
to stop that. We have
Agreed.
to acknowledge, or we say, I don't want to inconvenience anybody else, right? We have to accept help when people are offering to help us,
Mm-hmm.
and recognize that it's the collective care, it's the community that
Yes.
actually helps us to have that relational, emotional, and mental stability. This idea
Mm-hmm.
of individualism, this individual culture, this everyone do
Yes.
it by themselves, don't ask for help, go inside, close your door, just, you alone. That
Hmm.
kind of thinking um, creates a lot of stress, right? And it's connection and relationship that saves us.
Mhm.
And saying, I don't need anyone, saying, I will do it by myself all the time, that's completely unhealthy.
100%. And if
Unhealthy.
ever we needed community, we
It's
need it
now.
now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Mhm.
my mom would tell me about, Felicia, if there was ever a time I didn't have any sugar, I would just go to my neighbor and say, "Oh, I'm out of sugar." I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have any. You have give me one of those breadfruit from your tree." And
Mhm.
Yeah.
ever we
Mhm.
needed a time where we can rely on our neighbor.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, right. Quick nudge, nudge with the banana bread.
You still on that, eh?
I'm just saying. Okay. It's now we need each other. And
Mhm.
I love that you're talking about the fact that it's unhealthy, this
Mhm.
individualistic mindset where we should not have to depend on nobody else but ourselves.
Mhm.
It's
We need each
dangerous.
other. It's
It's a
Mhm.
so
dangerous mindset.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Natasha, talk about it, no man. Yes.
Oh, but it is. It is. It is a dangerous mindset. And Roxanne, when you said that, you reminded me of someone that I was
Yeah.
working with just today who
Yeah.
actually said, I know we're working together and it's contractual,
Mm.
but I feel like it's a burden you telling me my stuff. And I
Mm.
had to stop and say, no, I'm here to hold it
Wow.
with you,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? I'm not holding it for you and you're not
Mhm.
doing it by yourself. We are working together to hold it
Mhm.
together because we are in relationship. Yes, it's a therapeutic relationship, but it's a
Mhm.
relationship. And I think that's what's missing and that's why it is so dangerous. The relational aspect has been taken away. Just point
100%.
blank. It's been taken away. We
Yeah.
have to find ways to bring it back. We can't do
Mhm.
this alone, nor should we do it alone, nor were we meant to do it alone.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna get myself in trouble now. But isn't this what the whole colonial thing did? It separated us, made us feel like we couldn't rely on each other. I see your
100%.
face, Char. Char's like, girl.
They did. They did the job. We have to undo it
Yes.
now.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
have to, that takes intentionality
Mhm.
to undo it.
Yeah. When
I
you
think.
think about communities that are thriving, these are
Hmm.
communities who they band together
Mhm.
and they pool their dollars, or everyone puts together and send this one to med school, and then afterwards we put our money together and send that one to law school or whatever it is, right? But
Hmm.
there is a connection, there's a relationship, and we
Yes.
can't go far without relationship, without that togetherness, right? What's that proverb? If you want to
Ubuntu.
go
Hmm.
fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. Is that how it goes?
Mhm.
I
If
feel
you
like I'm
want
butchering it.
it's if you
If
want
you
to
want to
go
go far, go together.
if you want to go quick,
Yes.
or if you want to go quick, go alone. But if you want to go far, go
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
Something like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. Absolutely. Oh, Miss J, what you saying in the chat? One second, Miss J. All right. Okay. So Miss J said, "How do you propose someone ask for help without feeling weird about it?"
Mhm.
Hmm. And it's interesting. That question makes me think that society has done a number on us, right? Why is it that asking for help makes us feel weird,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I often say to my clients, when someone asks you for help, does that feel odd for you? Does it feel like they shouldn't ask you for help? When someone asks us for help, right? We are tripping over ourselves to support them, right? Why didn't you ask me earlier? Of course, I would love to. Like, let me make the arrangements. I'll do that for you. I'll drop your kid to school, or I'll do the thing, right? As long as it's in my wheelhouse to do, then I can do it, right? Yet um we feel like we're being a burden just
Yeah.
asking for someone's support or someone's help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a reflection on our society that we feel off by
Mm.
asking for help. Asking for help is normal. And the other thing I will say
Yeah.
is that part of belonging, part of our society, part of feeling whole is feeling useful and feeling
Mm-hmm.
needed.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
not asking our loved ones for support robs them of the joy of
Mm-hmm.
feeling needed and the joy of providing support for us,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm,
right?
100.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
I
remember
had
one time.
someone. Go ahead.
Mhm. Just I remember there was one time one of the mothers, the mothers. She
Hmm,
gave
the
me
mothers.
a hallelujah handshake. You guys know, if you know what a hallelujah handshake is, And it was like, I think it was like $50 at a time. It was when $50 was enough money. You know what I'm saying? Talking about $50 Canadian, guys. Okay, so I was pretty excited, right? But when I got it, I felt so guilty. I'm like, no, 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 right?
Mm,
Did I need that $50? Of course, I really need it because I was a student. And she turned to me and said, "Felicia, please don't rob me of my blessing." And I'm
that
Right.
like,
part,
Right.
that part. So
And
you
that's
take the money and keep
exactly,
yourself quiet.
Mhm.
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Mhm.
yes,
Where I had a friend who's a pastor
yes.
who said that to me. And
Mm,
someone was doing something like, no, 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 it's okay, I got you. And he was like, no, let them get you this time so you don't
Yeah.
rob them of their blessing too.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Love Bay family, if anyone wants to give us a hallelujah handshake, we will gladly receive. Amen. Sorry, continue, continue. I'm focused. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
Miss J
gosh.
in the chat, she's gonna get me, Miss J. All right, okay.
I think it's interesting because, like, having lived in different situations and circumstances, different countries, you
Mm,
see things, you experience it, you feel the vibe of it, right?
Yeah.
And like growing up, I grew up in a village, meaning
mm,
we know everybody.
Yes.
Everybody knows everybody, right? And half of y'all are related, okay? And so one of the beauty like of living in a village is that you don't have to worry about asking for things,
mm,
right? Because we're looking and we're seeing the things that you need even before you open your mouth,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm thinking back in the day about like even things like adoption,
Mm,
right? You see somebody is not able to carry the weight of raising their kids, you just take on the picnic. You come,
mm,
right? You come and you actually then have them in your home, you raise them up, you give them a good situation better than they would have had in another, these are the things that I'm recognizing that
Mm,
maybe we take for granted when we
mm,
yeah,
come from those situations, right? We think that to
absolutely.
ourselves, oh well, this is just how we do it back there. But what if we actually started thinking about ways to then incorporate those things here where we're living, right?
mm-hmm.
Some of us can remember back to our mothers
Hmm.
taking in people, oh, so and so is coming up from,
Mm-hmm.
for a few months or for a couple years. I'll watch them, make certain that they go to school and things like that. I'm wondering what does that look like in today's society
Mm,
with the way that the world is, right? Because it might not mean that you're sponsoring someone now, right? But how do you still live out some of those, just the values,
Yeah.
the
The
values,
values and the
live it,
principles.
right? In today's society where we're planted here in North America for the four of us, for other people where you're planted in Dubai or England or the US or the Caribbean, where you're planted, where how do you live out those old school values? Because they're important.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And I could just feel the vibes. I feel like, oh, but I've been hurt by so and so and
Mhm.
so and so, so and that. And we get it. People do terrible things sometimes, but we can't let, other people turn us off from this very important value, because at the end of the day, we were made for connection.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
You right? Like you see those babies that have no touch, no nothing, they die,
Me
literally.
too.
They will die without any human touch or connection.
Mhm.
They're fed, they're changed.
Yeah.
Physically, nothing is wrong with them.
Mhm.
But without that, they can't survive. We can't
Mhm.
survive.
Right.
So, yes, let so and so go on. Forgive them, move on. And forgiveness is not for them, it's for
For
you, right?
you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Release it and be like, okay, I'm not going to let them hold me back from this beautiful thing called connection. You just need to find the right people.
Yes.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, this conversation's sweet, man. Lord of.
Mhm.
Mm. All right. So, as we wind down for the evening, if you guys could leave one last thing with the Love Bay family for tonight, what would you leave them with?
I would say to remember that you're not alone, right?
Mhm.
We are living in, unprecedented times, right? And the thing that you are experiencing, so
Mhm.
many other people are feeling the same thing, right? On
Yes.
Sunday, when I was feeling this weight of, what's happening in the world, the
Mhm.
moment I started to express it, I started to hear so many other people saying, "Oh, I'm feeling the same way. It's so heavy. It's not just you, it's me too. I'm worried
Yeah.
about this or I'm worried about that." And then on Monday, I saw more, right? So just remember that you're not the only person on the earth. You are taking in the same news like everybody else is taking in, and if it's heavy for you, it's heavy for other people. So reach out and make those connections, invest in those relationships, and do what you can to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, Chad.
Yeah, I would say there's still hope. There's still hope. A
Yes.
lot of the world feels hopeless right now.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
still hope. Connect with the right people, as we're saying, Felicia, right? The right people. Connect with the right people. Build community with those people who have shared perspective and values. Connect with
Mhm.
those people because there is still hope. And people want it, right? I mean, look at us
Yes.
this evening. We're having this
Yes.
conversation. People who are
Yes.
listening, you want this. There are other people who want this as well. Connect
Mhm.
with those individuals, and there is still hope. Even though
Yeah.
times feel bleak, there's hope.
Yes. Come on.
Mhm.
So powerful, guys.
Yeah. And I would say that in the grief of it, right? So
Mhm.
living in this space where there is a feeling of grief, right? Because everything that's happening around the world feels so heavy, feels
Mhm.
overwhelming. You're feeling anxious, all of those feelings, name it, right? But also recognize that in the grief of it, there's also joy. So, what are
Yes.
the things that you can experience joy with, right? Dance was one of the things that we heard about tonight. Somebody who I know who does this well on their Instagram is Dr. Thema, and she's
Mhm.
always sharing about dance, right? Dance is a way
Mhm.
for us to regulate ourselves, right?
Yeah.
As people, from the diaspora, as we're moving back and forth, that is a way to regulate ourselves bilaterally, bilaterally, right? So
Mhm.
just allowing yourself to get into that movement again,
Mm-hmm.
feel that joy, right?
Yes,
Strength.
yes. I was feeling that. I was really feeling. I was getting into it. I was ready. All right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, there you have it, Love Bay family. As we begin to close tonight's conversation, I want to thank our Real Talk Roundtable panel, Charlene Lex, Roxanne Francis, Natasha Pennycook, for their honesty, wisdom, and care in holding this space with us tonight. Tonight's Diaspora check in was never about having all the answers. It was about naming the weight, about remembering that we are not alone in our grief, our vigilance, and our exhaustion. If you're listening and feeling stirred, tender, or emotionally full, please be gentle with yourself. Take a breath, drink some water, step away if you need to. Healing doesn't happen in urgency, it happens in safety, connection, and time. And before we go, I want to invite you back next week for She Speaks on the Mental Health Hour. We'll be joined by Sanait Lichmore, registered psychotherapist, speaker, contributing co-host of the nationally aired faith-based show See, Hear, Love, and author of the Mommy and Me Christian Journal, for a powerful episode entitled Why Willpower Isn't Enough: The Truth About Breaking Generational Patterns as a Mom. If tonight's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone in your community who may need this space. You can listen back and stay tuned by following Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio, downloading the Love Bay app, and visiting lovebay-afrobeatmusicradio.com, or finding us on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Felicia Fishoff, and this has been the Mental Health Hour. Thank you for showing up, for listening, and for being part of this community. So until next time, take care of yourselves and one another. Peace out.